Coach, when you look back over that film with Carolina, I mean, Drew's performance, 21 and 27, the 4 touchdowns, what stuck out to you? And do you think, as he indicated us, kind of the light bulb went on about you don't need to be reckless with the ball? Like it looked like it finally clicked for him in that regard.
Well, if that's the case, that's awesome. I think he did a lot of really good things in that game, and you guys are talking about it for the right reasons. I think we were efficient, more efficient. He took some checkdowns. All along this year, I've been trying to call nakeds and quick throws and things to kind of keep him in rhythm. We were able to hit on our deep balls, which got us some points. And, we ran the ball effectively. And so, all those things go hand in hand. And then we protected well. We try to do what we can to help the offensive line, who's done an excellent job in protection. And so it kind of all came together for us. I think when you look at it, nobody likes to hear this, but it takes a little time. It takes a little time for a system to kick in. It takes a little time for a quarterback to learn those things that he needs to learn so that he can be efficient, explosive, but, effective and, kind of stay away from those mistakes that have hurt us. I mean, I'm kind of filibustering here, but, the one thing I would say is the one bad play in the game. Let's just talk about the bad play in the game, the sack fumble. You can't drop the ball even if you get hit by 10 guys. Because to me, that's points. On a conservatively, we're going to get 3, and then they got 7. So there's a 10-point swing in a game that we won. And so all those turnovers that we've had this year, those are the contributing factors that, we have to avoid. And we're doing a better job of that. And so the results are better. And I think that's I don't know if that's an answer to your question, but I think it gives you some insight as to the importance of not turning the ball over. Because if we just have half as many turnovers as we have had, then it would be different. And I think that's some of what these young guys got to learn.
Next one, Mike.
Yeah, Coach, specifically on Drew completing the shorter passes, the checkdowns. You said something in training camp that we all latched onto. He likes the 60-yard check down. Right. The TV commentators keep saying that, he likes the three-point shot, not the layup. Is that something you and Mike Shula emphasized to him last week? Got to take the shorter passes, got to take the check down?
Yeah, and I guess if you guys will all kind of go back and put all your questions in sequence. Why aren't there deep balls? Why aren't there this? Why aren't you throwing it to this guy? Why aren't you throwing checkdowns? Why, you know what I mean? They come in sequence, and it's a fine line between being efficient, doing all those things. Somebody correlated throwing checkdowns to what more throws to the backs. Well, there's a lot of times in route concepts where the receivers are positioned as checkdowns. So, what might be a back catch goes to a receiver. Because he's in the lower part of the progression. So, I think it all goes hand in hand. And, you've heard me say this before, and I think it's very, very true. The critical components for quarterbacks are toughness, obviously decision-making. You have to make really good decisions, and that falls into, can I throw it deep or do I have to check it down? Am I running out of time? Do I have to scramble? Now that I scramble, is there nobody to throw to? Do I throw it away? Or is there somebody to throw to and I throw it to them? So decision-making, timing, and accuracy. And I think those are all things that, you got to see show up within a game, and they show up in different ways each week.
Excellent, Ryan.
Hey, Pat, Lloyd Cushenberry was saying the other day that starting about the Jet game in week 4 is when he stopped thinking too much and started playing more physical. Is that when you saw him turn a corner? And how delicate is that for a center where so much of it is mental?
Yeah, but the mind is a terrible thing. I think there has to be a naturalness to it, but there also has to be knowledge in what you're doing. And so, I think so. Here's another young player talking about the light coming on a little bit, and it's because he's played more and more and more, and so, that's a good thing. you got to be able to know what you're doing well enough where you can just go play and there's no anxiety, there's no hesitation, and you roll. And for him to acknowledge that, I think is that's him being very honest. But I think that shows up for all players. I've heard quarterbacks say it takes 3 years before everything slows down where you can do it. None of us are that patient, for any player. And I think especially rookies.
Next one, Jeff.
Yeah, Pat, just following up on Lloyd there. He's right now he's the only guy on offense who's played every snap. Does that sort of shock you that you've had that much turnover change this year? Yeah.
It's wood right there, right? No, it doesn't shock me. We've had a lot of turnover up front on the offensive line for various reasons. But he's been very steady, and that's his personality. And it's a good thing. Because he's a really talented player, and if you believe in reps and experience, I think he's getting all that. At some point here in the offseason, he's just going to shake his head and say, what the heck was that? And be able to kind of assess it and then move forward. And he's handled it very, very well.
Guys, time for a few more.
Coach, yesterday, Drew said it'd be awesome to have you as his OC for a second year and have Mike there as his quarterback's coach because he's had 6 different OCs in 7 years going back to high school. I know you can't predict the future, but are you hopeful that you get the full off season and another year to learn and grow with Drew?
Well, I think it's important. I think you've seen progress. I think he's seen progress in his play. I think we've seen progress on offense. We're trying to give our guys an opportunity to make big plays. We haven't had many penalties. We're running the ball pretty well. I kind of highlighted the reason why for the numbers crunchers, the points aren't where they need to be. It's been the turnovers. And as we become a little bit more careful with the ball and keep building on all those other things, then I think we're going to be where we need to be to play consistent winning football. That's just my impression of it. It has nothing to do with me. I think we as coaches have kind of developed our little rhythm that, gives the players the best chance to have success. And we got a lot of young players that are benefiting from this season of a lot of reps that they were forced into without having much practice. And so there's a lot to be learned. And I think we've got a really talented young roster. And I think there's a very, very bright future here.
Final two, George and Andrew.
Yeah, Pat, you kind of just answered my question. You look out there on Sunday and you have a relatively young offensive line, 3 new starters. KJ's, catching touchdown passes. Jerry, Drew's growing up. Did you feel like that was maybe the biggest step they've taken so far this season as an offense? And again, I guess just the ceiling for this offense, considering how young they are.
Yeah, I don't know about floors and ceilings. I think each week we got to do what we have to do to win the game, I still think it goes back to taking care of the ball, better than we have. And they can do that because it's not like you got to, rebuild. Here are the few things that we got to do better. Let's take Drew all the way back to the Pittsburgh game where he scrambled and got hurt, right? And he fumbled, right? If you step up in the pocket and don't fumble, then we're going to get points there. You're not going to get hurt. We move on. So those are, so as we look back on the season, it's those kind of things that they learn from, and they're very talented young players that have bright futures. And so, I think that's sort of where that's at. But along the way, don't forget, every Sunday you got to do what you have to do to win the game. And I think that's because that's where the no patience, and so I think that's the challenge as we move forward here, obviously versus Buffalo, and then our last 2.
Specifically from Sunday on, Calvin Anderson being pressed into service at left tackle and Natani working at right guard. What did you see from them that kind of augurs well for them going forward into the next years and beyond?
Well, first, Calvin was pressed into duty the day of, so a real credit to him that he was prepared. Because you never know. And he did a terrific job. I mean, he's got terrific feet. He's a very, very athletic guy that's excellent in pass protection. Bodes well in the run game as well. he did a great job on the screen that we threw to Foom as far as picking off the first defender. And, you know, I would say Foom did a great job. He was pressed into service because Noah couldn't play. So we're talking about two guys that were ready to go and had an impact on the game. And then Moody, for instance, you know, you're not supposed to have favorites, but, you know, I really like what he does. He's very strong and explosive, but yet he's mobile. The one block he made on the screen to the right where he ran flat and cut the defender, I was, you know, that was awesome. You can't see a lot of people be able to do that, you know, get in there and wrestle bears like they do at guard, but then have the quickness and the instincts to be able to go out and cut a guy. A lot of players can't cut, you know, and block low because it takes some initial quickness. And so he showed in a few snaps why he's got a very, very bright future. And so, no, it's exciting.
Hey, Coach, thanks for talking with us. Can you just take us back through Sunday and what it was like being there with the guys and coaching the game?
Yeah, everything was really normal. No big deal going in the box. The best part was just being around the guys and being in that locker room and sharing that joy. You know, that's the kind of thing I missed the last couple of weeks. But everything was pretty normal.
Next one, Kyle Newman.
Hey, Ed, what are the keys to containing Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley this Saturday?
You know, we're going to have to step up and play good football, you know, and it's no, surprise to anybody. We're playing with some guys that have been bumped up in the lineup. You know, we've been hit pretty hard at corner. But I feel really good with the veteran leadership we have at safety that Kareem and Justin bring us. They've really helped us as coaches to be able to operate. Will Parks is you know, very fortunate at this time of the season when you need a guy, that a guy like that can be available, you know, because he brings experience and knowledge, and he brings that boosted energy. You know, you guys know from being around. So that's kind of a gift that kind of got dropped in. So there's a plus for us. So it's going to take a team effort. There's no question about it. You know, our coaches put together a good plan, and we feel good about it.
And Ojemudia mentioned big goal is not giving up the big play. Is that kind of the number one thing with Diggs, especially just not giving up that home run to him?
Yeah, you know, really, it's not this week or any week. You know, if you look at us over the years, we don't give those up, you know, and when you don't give up chunks, you have a better chance of getting people stopped mathematically before they get to the goal line. So, yeah, that's always part of our thing. We don't want to give up the big play. We know there's a lot of ways he can get loose, and he's having a great year. But they have a lot of good receivers on their team, and they're going to throw the open guy.
Next one, Brady.
Coach, Vic said he's never seen anything like this with the attrition at corners and not being able to replenish them, obviously because of the COVID restrictions as easily. And you guys have been together a long time, but you weren't with him forever. Have you ever seen anything like this? And I guess
you know, I don't
also like the
so.
challenge.
Yeah, I don't think so. But we relish the challenge. You know, we have plenty of good guys, and everybody that's had to come up is working their tail off. And you know, that's the only way you can look at it. We're in the adapting business, and they're going to have a game on Sunday, regardless of what's going on. So all our energy is into adapting, and we have plenty of guys to win this game, and they're up to it.
Looks like we got two more, Ryan and Troy.
Hey, Ed, facing Josh Allen last year in Buffalo and then preparing for him this week, where have you seen him make his biggest strides on tape?
Yeah, you know, even back to Buffalo, we've watched him. Back to the Chicago, we played him a couple times. So we've seen him at all stages. He just keeps getting better, you know, and when you have that run pass dual threat where he can scramble or he has design runs, that makes it tough. And he's more accurate now. He's making better decisions. You know, this guy's come into his own, so he's gotten better and better.
Last one.
Coach Donatello, I know you said it felt like a normal day. How did the adrenaline feel with your health? Did it make you feel better to get back in that moment, you know, where you're coaching or did you feel a little, you know, that was the next day hard recovery?
Yeah, 100%. You know, all the things that make people feel better, you know, doing what you love, competing, you know, winning, all those things I think are good for your health. So I got to feel that. So thank you.
You look better. Look like you're feeling better.
Well, I am. You know, I'm a lot better. There's still strength to be gained, but, I'm on the upswing. There's no question about it. And having a good week.
All right, guys, we got one more. Finish this up, Jeff.
Yep.
Yeah, and folks say I'm never on the upswing, but I just want to I was looking at kind of some of Allen this season, how he's playing, and I wondered if you guys talk about when a quarterback is willing to throw back across the field when he gets in trouble. He seems to really want to throw back because he has the arm to do it. But is that something that strikes you with him?
Yeah, no question about it. And they have some misdirection where they're going to try to suck you one way and throw back, and you only do that when you have a guy that's really got that top arm strength. He doesn't need his feet to make any throw. There's a lot of guys who have to step, set their feet. He doesn't have to do that. And that's a little bit of a problem. You got to make him pay for some of those, when that happens, because sometimes they can be off a little bit, and you can turn it into opportunity for yourself. But big arm, no question about it. Good, strong legs. We're going to have all units, clicking together.
Hey, Tom, two for you. How has Taylor kicked the ball this week, and what's your confidence level going into Saturday if he's the guy?
I kicked the ball well yesterday. We had another day today, and confidence level is good. He just has kicked same kicks he kicked yesterday for us and then his whole career.
And then just looking back on Sunday with the 2 mixed extra points, did you see anything on tape mechanically for those misses?
Nothing mechanically. Operationally on the first one, we had some laces at him and the ball was spinning. So that there's a little bit of an operation deal that puts a little stress on the kicker. But the second one, operation was good. He missed. It comes down to, just focus, and we got to get the same kick, whether it's 60 yards or from the 15-yard line.
Thank you.
Next one, Mike.
Yeah, Coach, last week when you were working privately with Taylor, were Bobenmeyer and Martin also there with him, working with him?
No, sir. No, he was COVID. I shouldn't say this, but he's the COVID kicker. So naturally I kept those guys separate. You never want the contacts to happen because he's here to replace either Sam or Brandon if something were to come up like came up this week. So I didn't even let those guys get in contact or even let their tracers go off. So it was just me and him. And if I got taken out by him, then at least Beat could run the game.
And then what kind of kicker is he? You obviously found him, discovered him to come in to be your quote-unquote quarantine kicker. What did you see in him?
Well, first of all, he can combo. So you have to have somebody, if you just have one, that could punt also. So he could punt. He showed that in Canada in 2017. And really, I didn't find him. Last year, Pat McAfee did a game in the XFL, and he called me and he said, hey, there's a guy that fits your criteria, some of the traits that I look for. And so that's when I started following Taylor. And he fit some traits. When this thing came up that we wanted to bring in a COVID kicker to in case we needed him, he was the first recommend I gave to Matt and AJ.
Thanks for that.
Hey, Coach, Deontay, what'd you see from him on that punt return, being able to make something happen after the initial contact with PJ? And then I guess just how excited were you for him that he was finally able to break one?
The first thing I thought he did a great job of was just really focusing on the catch with pressure in his face. He catches the ball on a certain peck, and he did it perfect, with being gone, for some time. And then he made, really 2 guys miss. He made the first gunner miss, and then the second gunner that PJ was trying to get around. But real happy for him. We got that second level blocked, and he's deserving of it. He's broke a bunch in these last 2 years, and we just had to get him in the end zone. And now this guy's the limit. Once you taste that end zone, hopefully we get a bunch more in his career.
Next one, Troy.
Coach, those plays don't happen by accident. And part of the reason, a guy like Josh Watson, what has he meant to your special teams this year? He's been called up, I don't know how many times now, I've kind of lost track, but how has he developed? What has he meant for your group?
Troy, the biggest thing is the number one trait for the special team, the teamers, are being consistent. He doesn't do anything wrong. He does everything right. He prepares during the week. He knows the guy that he's going to block in every role. He knows how to beat guys in coverage. So number one thing is he's consistent. And some people call it boring, but everybody trusts him around him because he does everything right. And that's what he's brought to our unit,
Coach, Ed said coaches relish going into a game maybe undermanned. He's got 3 healthy corners right now. Is that a little different for a special teams coach as it relates to the 3 guys you're operating with, not knowing Russolino the way you know Brandon, maybe not trusting him? Not that you don't trust him, but Brandon's been doing this for a long time. So how does it change your mindset going into the game?
To be honest with you, it can't change your mindset. You got to take the strengths of the player that's going into the game to kick for you or punt or snap, and then you got to develop the game plan around that player. Don't ask him to do things he can't do. He's not Brandon McManus, and Brandon's not him. So that's what we've done with Taylor, and we feel good about it.
Time for a few more next one.
Hey, Tom, what went into the rationale to make sure that you kind of had this designated survivor / kicker / punter? Was it the experience with Kendall Hinton having to step in with all the quarterbacks? Is that what led to this?
Yes. No question.
Okay, next one, Arnie Stapleton.
I'm just wondering how you think Sam has settled in. I know he had a little bit of a slow start as he acclimates to altitude and to the outdoors and everything. How do you think he's settled in over these last several weeks?
He's hitting the edges a lot better. His net yardage is, like I said, it's over 44. Again, last week, you net over 44, and he's got us almost a 42-yard net, which is, it's a good net in the National Football League. But we just want to keep working on the hang time part. We hit 2 balls out of bounds last week, and eliminates the returner. I think the best thing he's done, Arnie, is he doesn't see the returner anymore. He's just picking a spot. That guy doesn't exist to the great punters, and you just punt to the edges. And he's finishing kicks and just trusting himself. He's been an indoor guy for, I believe, 8 years. You come outside and guys think that it's different. It's really not. Just go punt the same ball, and he's doing a good job with that. He's winning. He's beating himself, which is good. That's the hardest part to overcome when you come from indoors.
Final 2, Kyle and Zach.
Brandon obviously has been really solid from 50+ this year. Come Saturday, what's your confidence in Taylor from that situation? And I know obviously he proved in the XFL he could hit from that distance. Are you confident he can hit on Saturday from there?
Yes. Yep, no question.
Final one, Zach.
Hey, Coach, thanks for talking with us today. Do you talk to Pat McAfee often? Does he give you recommendations on players often, or was that a one-time thing?
No, he called me last spring, and then I reached out to him when the COVID deal came up and just talked to him again about Taylor. But, I was with him for 6 years. He knows what I'm looking for in a kicker, and the traits that I'm looking for. And I can't give those out right now because it kind of tells the opponent what this player has. But we don't talk a lot, but when he finds somebody and he hears that pop, that we're all looking for, he shot me a call, and it's much appreciated because I really trust, what he sees, because he sees what I see for 6 straight years. So